few days ago, the Honorable Minister Samuel Kujeto Ablakwa, you know, had a press conference that was explaining, the relationship of Ghana with the U.S. So there was a message about a possible ban on Ghana, and there has been misinformation all on the the news that Ghana has been banned and stuff like that. So it's sort of a bit uncertain for people, especially who want to study abroad or who want to study in the US. So here is the thing: the country is on a possible ban list. Does not mean that the country, the Ghana, has been banned by the US. As I speak with you, a lot of students who um, worked on their study on their application processes have already gotten the visas approved, and some are also working on going for their visa interviews, and so they have appointment in the coming weeks. Starting on Monday, people are going to go for their visa interview. The most important thing, if you're working on this process, is to make sure that you stay positive on what you're working on. This is not the first time such news has come up, and in terms of this process, there is always some level of uncertainty when you're working. First of all, the visa application itself is not 100% guaranteed, so you need to put in a lot of work and effort, and a lot of people are anxious and stuff like that. So if you're working on the process, you plan to study in the US in 2026. As it stands now, continue working on your process. If you are gathering your documents, please do so. If you are emailing professors, kindly do so. If you are working on, putting in some applications, getting some application fee waivers, continue to do that. If you've not secured a date yet, even though you have your I-20 paid service fee and all that, continue to monitor the platform. Join mock sessions that are very positive and would rather, build on you rather than discourage you from what you're working on. Remember, people are going for the interview. People have gotten their visas approved, even though their school is starting in August. And some people who are also expecting their I-20s continue to look for, visa interview dates and all that. Be positive about what you're working on and don't be discouraged at this moment. Even the COVID era, you understand, people use nose mask and went for the interview. If you are now getting closer or working on this process for the first time, it might seem that what is happening is new. No, it's not new. Social media thing has been there since 2019. Visa application fees, there has been changes. The appointment portal used to be US Travel Docs. It was changed to Avid portal. So, things continue to happen. It is when you get closer to the process or when you're working on it that it seems that you are hearing negativity, negative news and all that. Get information from positive sources so that you wouldn't be scared. It's already a little bit anxious preparing for this visa interview and all that. For example, when I was coming from Bole Bamboy to go for my interview, I was anxious and uncertain. But so please be positive, on what you're working on. Everything will be fine. This is the biggest Study Abroad content platform. Is another week, is another episode of the Study Abroad podcast with the Fred Effect. Today, my co-host will be Ben. Hi, Ben. How are you doing?
Fred, I'm good, and you?
Yeah, if you could speak up a little bit. I'm okay. How is the UK?
Yeah, by His grace, everything is fine at the moment.
I see.
We are enjoying small summer, so.
Right. Yeah. I currently go for biking. I got a bicycle. So
Oh, wow.
the sun.
Interesting.
Yeah, because when it becomes very cold, you can't go out, and so I got a bicycle, and then I have been riding around campus and all that. Anyway, our guest is
Oh, interesting.
Abdul Raheem Baba. I like your name. Salam alaikum, my brother.
Hi, Sal, brother. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. So Ben, you introduce yourself, and then Abdul would come in. Is it from my end? Am I? Let me know in the comment
Yes,
section. Looks like we're
yes.
breaking a little bit. Is it from my end? Is the connection from my end? I just wanted to know. Let me know in the comment section if you can hear us. Ben, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
I can
a
hear
bit.
you.
It was breaking along the line.
Okay, you guys can go ahead and begin. If you could, introduce yourself, and then Abdul will come in and we get started.
Okay. Abdul, Assalamu alaikum once again.
My brother. How are you doing?
Hope everything is fine.
Oh,
Yes,
absolutely.
I'm good. And you?
Everything was good. I'm very well, thank you. Summer vibes. So yeah, like you
Wow,
said, it's
interesting.
it's pretty chilly out here. So yeah, generally during the summer. Yeah.
I hear.
Nice
So,
to meet you,
just a
buddy,
quick
Benjamin.
intro about
I think it's the first time we
you,
meet.
about yourself.
I think there's a delay in the transmission. I don't know if
Yes.
Yeah, I was trying to see if I
that's
can fix it.
strange.
I was trying to see if I can fix it from my
Should be
end.
fine now.
I think it's from my end. Let's see if I can fix that.
Okay.
All right, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I think it was from my end. Let's see if it's gonna work this time around. Yeah. So a quick introduction, Ben, and then we get started from your end.
I think Ben is still back.
Okay. Okay. All right, Abdul. Let's move on. I think Ben is having issues. Let's see if we can move on. All right. So a quick introduction for everybody seeing your handsome face for the first time.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be featured on this platform because I've watched you since I was in Ghana. So to be able to move to the US and still, watch you, but not only watch you, also be a part of your platform, it's truly a big honor for me. So my name is so my full name is Abdurrahim Baba Abdul Moment.
Okay.
But usually when I when I mention it, it's so long that people just what should I call you? What should I call you? So I just shorten it to Abdurrahim Baba, but others also call me Raheem. Originally, I'm from Ghana, Tamale to be precise. You got that right. And I moved to Central Region for my senior high school, and then to the Greater Accra for my undergrad, which is the University of Ghana, the best university in Ghana.
Okay.
From there, from there, I worked for about 5 years, yeah, before proceeding to the North Carolina State University. So I think for now that sets the ground for anyone who see me for the first time.
Right. So what ignited your interest to want to study abroad?
I mean, seeing what was going on in Ghana, I don't think anyone anyone deserves this answer. But on a more serious note, when I was working for the last 5 years, I saw a gap between what I was doing professionally against what I was expected to do. That is, right after school, right after undergrad, I had the opportunity to work with Bank of Africa for 1 year, which was my national service. From there, I had the opportunity to stay in a bank, but I had another opportunity where I felt it was better in terms of everything, right? In terms of growth, in terms of vice to be sure that he blessed me before I could move. And so when I moved, I worked there for two almost 3 years, and then I saw a rapid projection in my growth. But
Right.
because of the course I had read in the undergrad, which is linguistics, there was a complete mismatch between what I was doing and then what I studied in school. And so I
Mm.
needed to bridge that gap. And so in the course of the 5 years, I decided it was time for me to have that, advanced skills so that I could perform professionally in the workspace. So that was what ignited my move to the master's program.
Oh, I see. All right, Ben, can you hear me now? Let's see if you're stable now. Hi, Ben. Hello, Ben. Can you hear me? Okay, Ben, if you could exit and rejoin, I think that would be helpful. We are having a bit of challenges. This is UK and the USO, so it shouldn't be.
Yes, I can hear you, Fred.
Yeah, you should you try and see if you could exit and rejoin. I
Yes,
think that
please
would
can
be super helpful. All right, let's see. I think he's having issues with a connection. All right, Raheem, let's go on. So, let's talk about now. You have the interest. Which year did you actually graduate from University of Ghana?
So I graduated from University of Ghana in 2019 with a Bachelor of
Wow.
Arts in Linguistics. Yeah, in
And
linguistics. So I read linguistics.
when did you finally get to the US?
I got to the US just last year.
Oh, okay. So let's talk about when did you start the whole study abroad process? 2019, you are done with your bachelor's, and obviously national service, right? So
Right.
when did you start the study abroad process, and finally landed you last year?
Good question. So I actually started the study abroad journey actually in 2019, right? Um, I was applying for schools in the UK, as
Mm,
everybody does. Um, but then I was so privileged to be amongst a group of individuals who understood the Ghanaian economy
yeah,
and the relevance of work experience. In my case, because I was shifting from academia to corporate Ghana, so
right.
they understood the relevance of work experience, and so they asked me a couple of questions. One, um, what are your plans after national service? I told them I want to pursue study abroad to the UK. Then they asked, when you return, what's your plan? Do you have anyone in very high positions who can secure your job after you return and all that? So a couple of questions, and it got me thinking. And I re-strategized, but I actually kept applying for the UK, just that I didn't get funding.
Okay.
And so from 2019, I've been applying for study abroad journey, um, vis-a-vis having or building that work experience so that I could, once I get the work experience and then I had funding, I could move. If I didn't get funding, I could still build that work experience. So that has been
Mm.
the trajectory.
Oh, I see.
Right.
So, if you started applying to schools in the UK, and Ben is in the UK, unfortunately, Ben's network is messing up with us today. Let's see if we can still have him. Hi, Ben, can you hear us? Oh man.
Yeah, Fred, I can hear you.
Okay, so it takes like
Better
it
Can you
looks
now.
hear
like
me?
it looks like you are hearing me from Bole Boy when I speak. It takes like 8 years before you respond. So, yeah. So I don't know
But can
why.
you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you very well.
Yes, I
Just
can hear
that
you absolutely
there's
clear. Yes.
it's lagging.
There's a delay in tradition. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So Abdul, you have the same feedback from your end. Like when he talks, it delays a little bit, right?
Yeah, it takes a while. Yeah, it takes a while.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
I don't know what's happening today. Honestly, I have no idea.
No problem. We can get going, Ben. Let's tag along. So
Okay.
you started with the UK applications, and then why did you change your mind to apply to US institutions then?
So it's quite an interesting journey. Right before I joined, I listened to a couple of your episodes where there was a girl, I think Hamdia also. She
Mm-hmm.
was speaking about the gap between other places and then the US. With the US,
Right.
it's easier to get funding as compared to the other countries, right?
Mm.
And so I actually had no idea until a friend of mine, and again in the episode she mentions that it is always that one friend who takes the big step
Exactly.
that you all
Yeah.
see that, oh, it is possible. Yeah. So my friend just took the step, and then I was like, oh, okay, that means it is possible. Because I understood that if he could do it, there was probably a gap, which is the gap of information that I was missing. And so
Mm.
I confronted him, asked him, and then he told me that, yo, they're responding here, and I think you should look here. And so I switched
Let's say shout
completely
outs to
from the
him.
UK.
Let's shout outs to him. What's his
Yeah,
name?
Eric Bond, Eric
Oh,
Bond,
shout
Eric
out to
Bond,
Eric Bang.
Eric Kojoba.
Which institution is he?
Yeah, Eric Kojoba. So he's actually working right now. He completed Illinois State University.
Did you say
I think
Did you say
this
Kojo
year
Bang?
he was supposed. Yeah,
Did
Eric
you say?
Kojoba.
Then I should know him. I should know Kojo Bang.
Oh, from
Yeah,
ISU.
yeah, I
Yeah,
should
then
know
I'm
him.
sure you probably would know him. Yeah,
Yeah. Shout
yeah,
out to
Eric
Kojo Bang.
Kojoba.
That was a great one. So he sort of was being and like you said, everybody has that person that gives you the light that
Right.
you can you can do this thing. So shout outs to him, and
Thank you.
it's good that you are
Yeah.
remembering him on the platform as well. So what exactly did he tell
Yeah.
you? How was he able to
Oh,
convince you that okay, use this route instead?
well, actually, it wasn't. It wasn't much of convincing, right? Because I mean, you see it. Like once you see something, you don't need much convincing, right? It's
Right.
just a matter of direction. So he was like, I think you should look at one writing the GRE. From the GRE, once you get a good score, then you'll be able to explore different schools. So he actually
Mm,
pointed me in the right direction. Once you get good score, the success of your funding would go way up higher than any other places you'd ever apply to, right? And so it was more like a direction. So I was already convinced because he was there, right? So it was more
yeah.
of a direction to just point me, and then I got going. So it was more of a direction. Yeah.
Awesome. Let's see if we can hear Ben now. Hi Ben, can you hear us? Let's see if it's working for you today. Hi Ben. Your microphone is muted. You have to unmute it. Hi Ben, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, this is far better. You have a
Oh,
question for
there
Abdul.
you
Yes, I
go.
can hear you.
Okay. You have a question for Abdul?
Great.
Yeah, you continue because of the network issue. I was kind of missing
No
out small,
problem.
so I'll
Yeah,
I'll,
so
I'll come in with some questions later on.
uh,
Yeah.
uh, Abdul, when somebody ask you, Abdul, how much did you spend on this process? My name is whatever. I want to go through this process, but I want to know from you who have started from A and it has landed you there. How much did you spend on the process, and so that I can prepare for that? How much? What would you say?
It's quite an interesting question, right? Because when you look
Yeah.
at it from the get go, and you're like, I want to start a process, but how much did you spend? It becomes more of a barrier than how it would open much more space for you,
No, no.
right?
I
So when I
love the
started,
way I love the way you're answering this question. I love it. So normally, for me to know somebody is not serious about this process, that's where they ask me, how much is it going to cost?
that's
Yeah, immediately the person asks me this
but the
question.
cost is
Yeah, go ahead.
but the cost is irrelevant. The cost is actually irrelevant to the journey, right? Because when I started, honestly, for my GRE, I didn't have a penny, right? It was my actually, so my cousin is in the UK, right? Currently, he's in the UK with Ben. Their network is not good. So my cousin is in the UK, and then I just out of the blue, I was like, you know what? Just ask him for a favor. So I called him. I was like, you know what? I need a loan of about 3K. Then it wasn't up to 3K, but I just needed something small. And someone may ask, but you were working. Why weren't you? And why weren't you having enough money to be able to do all that? And I'll tell you that those were some of the reasons that I figured I had to leave, right? Although I was growing, my financial status was also growing a bit, but it was a complete mismatch. The life and the kind of life, considering where I was and how I should have been living, right? So, of course, I was working, but there was really not enough funds for me to go through that journey. But if I asked that question, that Eric, could you, how much did it take you to complete the entire journey? It probably would have demoralized me because there was no way on earth I would have had that money. And so I just phoned him and I told him I needed a loan of 3K, which is in Ghana cities. And then he sent it to me, I think, in less than 24 hours. And so I registered for the GRE. And
Yeah, bro, take your time.
and then
That aspect is very important to me. For Kojoban to come in to help. So I don't know, for some reason we're having a bit of difficulties today. So Abdul, if you could also exit and rejoin, let's see if it's gonna work. So if you're listening to us, we'll be right back. Ben, can you hear me? Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hello?
Fred, I can hear you. Can you hear me too?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I
It's
can
still
hear you.
today. Yeah, today we are having a bit of challenges. It's crazy. Hi, Abdul, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Quite unfortunate. Like today we are having serious challenges with. I don't know if it has to do with my end or the platform I'm using. But Abdul, I can. Okay, so everything is clear now. Let's see. Sorry if you're watching us. We are trying our best. It's not easy to put this podcast through the conversations behind the scenes and all that. It's not been easy. So trying to see how it goes. Abdul, you're clear. You're very clear now. Ben, are
Oh,
you there?
great.
Yeah, Fred, I'm there.
Okay. So
It's better.
yeah, this is far better. This is
Yeah.
far better. Okay.
Okay, thank
Do we have to start the whole thing over, or because I think this is better now.
I mean, I don't mind if we start over.
Okay. Let's begin. So sorry we've been having a bit of challenges, but my intro for today was about the communication about from the honorable Okujeto Ablakwa about a possible ban of the US on Ghana. And so if you're working on your study abroad process, should you be worried? What should you do? My response to this is that, the US has always been a great study destination for a lot of Ghanaians. This is not the first time. Some of us came to meet people studying abroad. In the 80s, 90s, people came to study abroad. In fact, the former vice president Baumia schooled in Canada, schooled in the UK, and also taught at Baylor University in Texas. The current vice president, she schooled in Canada, had her master's and PhD over there. So study abroad has been something that has people have been doing. Just that this time around, we have the opportunity to amplify and put our voice to it. So if you're working on the process, focus on getting an interview date. In fact, people have already gotten their visas approved as we speak, even though their program is starting in August. Others continue to go for visa interviews. Join positive mock interview platforms. If you're working towards 2026, don't let this scare you. There will always be a challenge. COVID came, it passed, and then people are still studying abroad. You understand? So work on the process as you are supposed to, and then when it gets there, you definitely cross. So my co-host has always been Ben. He's joining me from the UK. And then our guest is Abdul. So we had a bit of challenges, so we're going to start all over. Ben, a quick introduction, then we go to Abdul.
My name is Ben, and I'm currently studying MSc Public Policy at Nottingham Trent University, and I hope to graduate very soon. So, by the grace of God, by September I'll be having my second master's, which is a great news, and it all happened as a result of having a positive mindset so far as study abroad is concerned.
Yeah.
So that is just a small bit about me for now. As time goes on, we talk a lot. Yeah.
All right, Abdul. Another introduction again.
All right, sure. So, just so that I can put it in context this time, I probably just narrate a longer version of what I did, so that I don't have to repeat going forward and all that. So my name is Abdul Raheem Baba Abdul Moment. It's very long, so usually I get that, and so I just say Abdul Rahim Baba is my name. Sometimes just Rahim is fine. Originally, I'm from Tamale.
Oh man,
2011, I moved to the center of Ghana. Sorry.
it's the same thing for today. Quite unfortunate. Go ahead. Let's see if we can hear you.
Right. So right after senior junior high school, I moved to Central Region in 2011. Left there in 2014. Sat down for about a year and then moved to the University of Ghana, where I read Bachelor of Arts in Linguistics, and then graduated in 2019. From 2019, I worked in Bank of Africa head office as a marketing officer for a year, and then got another opportunity to work with TXT Ghana, which is now Gusevu Ghana, for about 3 years. From there, I went to work at BBC Industrials, which is which are the producers of this consumer paints and all that.
Okay.
From there, I decided it was time for me to pursue my MBA program, and currently I'm in North Carolina State University. But in between that, there have been journeys in between. Just that as the conversation unfolds, then I'm sure I'll be able to put out everything out there. Yeah. So
A
that's it.
lot of people are of the view that business related programs do not give funding, but you are talking about being on a fully funded program, pursuing an MBA.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay, awesome. So we will talk about the universities you apply to and where you are at the moment. But let's start with, what do you think helped you to get the full funding? Was it your GRE, your CGPA, or maybe the university you actually chose?
Mm. Well, definitely, I would say the university played a huge part of it, right? Because there are some universities outrightly they'll tell you that no, we don't fund it. But I also believe that some universities are ready to compromise once they see the value in the candidate that they are trying to bring on board, right? Because especially with the MBA program, they are in for the name, right? So once they see that,
Right.
oh, this is a huge candidate, or this is a potential huge candidate, they'll bet everything on you, and then they'll throw money at you, and you would have I actually have one colleague who is part of my cohort who
Mm.
actually has more money than he's issued on his I-20.
Okay.
So his deficit is in his deficit would be a positive something. I
Yeah.
don't know if it makes sense. Yeah. So he
Yeah.
has. So once they see the value of the candidate, then it adds a layer of how much money they charge you. That is obviously that is one. But beyond that, I would say what actually gave me this opportunity would be my extracurricular activities, together with my application, of course.
Mm.
But putting aside the quality of application that I put together, I would say that what actually made me a very strong candidate, or what makes me a strong candidate, is the amount of extracurricular activities that I engaged in over the years in school and outside school. So that's what I would say.
Yeah. So this is quite interesting. You said you studied linguistics at the University of Ghana.
Correct.
So is it a Bachelor of Arts in Linguistics?
Correct. A Bachelor of Arts. So you know that
Mm.
University of Ghana, we you from the get go, from level 100, you have 3 courses, and then
Mm.
after 100, you drop one. After 300, you either major or combined major, or just minor in all that.
Mhm.
So I actually had French linguistics, and then sociology. After
Okay.
100, I dropped French, partly because I was training in. I just didn't want to have a bad class when I graduated, which in hindsight I think was a bad idea.
Mm.
And then in 300, I actually chose to major in linguistics because it
Mm.
was easier to pass, and then had a minor, had a minor in sociology. So that's it.
So from linguistics to MBA.
Correct.
So I wanted to understand, like, most people would want to stay within the field they had their bachelor's degree in.
Mm.
How come you wanted to switch from, having a background in linguistics, maybe go study masters in English, or communication, or maybe in the same trajectory? Why MBA then?
You're right. You're right. Absolutely right. That has been the trajectory, right? And
Mm.
that is the trajectory over the years. That once you have an undergrad, it means that you stay true to that course or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And over the years, you probably master in it, and then probably have a PhD in it. Um, but there are also outliers in the journey, right? In that once I've been a bit of a nerd growing up, right? It's always been books, reading, and all that, writing, and all that. But I just got tired of it, right? I just
Mm.
got tired of being in academia and all that. I needed that experience. I needed that work experience just to move from academia to corporate Ghana. And so
Yeah.
right after, and that was one of the reasons why I turned down the opportunity to be a TA, right? A TA in school, because I knew that once I had taken that opportunity, it means that I was bound to stick in linguistics probably for a very long time before I could switch. And so I didn't want that. And so I moved outside, and then I went to have my national service, which was where the opportunity for this MBA actually opened for me, because it
Mm.
exposed me to corporate Ghana. And from there I've just been having experiences upon experiences, and then until my MBA. So yes,
Yeah.
traditionally you would go undergrad, this. But even the university say that the undergrad is only a training ground for you.
Mhm.
So if you want to master in what you did in undergrad, that is fine. But equally, if you want to switch to other industries, that is also absolutely fine for you, right?
Ben will come in, but before that, if you are just tuning in now, the network is stable in the UK, in the US. So we hope it's stable at where you are. Let us know in the comment section, where are you watching us from? Is it stable over there? When I was in Bole Bambo, I have to go and stand by a tree, stuff like that. But I hope it's stable now, right? So if it's stable at your end, let us know. Are you seeing us clearly? Are you hearing us clearly, so that we know? We had a bit of a setback, but I'm glad we are on. So remember, every week we select one person who we mentor. We are talking to somebody who had a background in linguistics, did French at some level, and now studying MBA. So we've been saying that you do not necessarily have to pursue what you had at the undergrad level. So if you have a background in mathematics, it doesn't mean that you should necessarily apply for a master's in mathematics. You can switch when your interest changes and all that. Maybe you went into a job, and then that has inspired you to study a different program. It's possible. So Abdul is sharing with us his experience, how he did it, and how you can also do it. Every week we select one person who the team mentors. How do you join? When you type in the comment section, when you like, when you share, when you subscribe, you automatically join the draw. At the end of the session, we would select one person who will be mentored to go through the process. So tell a brother to tell a brother that the biggest study abroad content platform, and of course the consistent weekly podcast is on, and we are inspiring lives. We are changing the narrative. Ben, you want to come in? Hey,
Yes.
Ben.
So I
They're
think
taking me.
Abdul, I would say thank you for.
Go ahead, Ben. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
We
Yeah,
can
we
hear
can
you,
hear
but it
you.
takes
Yes,
5 days.
Abdul, thank you for the nice information I've given us. You mentioned that we have to be valuable. We need to add value to ourselves. So now I just want to know, how can we be valuable so far as studying abroad is concerned, to help us also secure full funding as you did?
Yeah, good question. I think being valuable starts right from the very first day you set your foot on whichever university that you go into, right? So from the very first day that I stepped foot in University of Ghana, actually it didn't happen just naturally like that. But prior to that, in senior high school, I was the school prefect, assistant school prefect. Sorry, I was the assistant school prefect, and I mentioned earlier, Fred, that a friend of mine, I'm sure we'll come back to that conversation, but a friend of mine who gave me that information, the cab I was missing, was actually the school prefect, and I was the assistant school prefect, right? And so prior to that, I was also the general overseer, they used to call it those days, which is the compound prefect. And so leadership has been more like a thing that I've been always yearning to do, right? And so I took those experiences, and then university was where I kind of bloomed, or I kind of groomed that leadership skill. In that I was a vice president for the department. I was a president for the department. I was president for, in fact, at the time I was three presidents for three different organizations, right? And so all these experiences would count to making you, one, the way you speak; two, the way you present; three, how you are able to communicate with other people; and four, just have a good relationship with people, the interpersonal communication skills and all those things. That is one aspect of it. Um, Folks here really love that you volunteer for things that you are not paid to do, which is really missing in the Ghanaian community, right? Um, so once you're able to volunteer and have those experiences and all that, coupled with other, impacts that you've made professionally or even academically, writing, publishing papers and all that, I think it makes you a very solid candidate that any school would be willing to bet on you.
Right. It
All
makes
right.
you a strong
Thank you very
candidate.
much. So just a quick follow-up.
Hmm.
Now looking,
Go ahead, Ben. Go ahead. We have to give you some 3 days to catch up. You go ahead.
So what?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So yes, you mentioned a word that I think we need to really have a small info about it: volunteering.
Mm.
I I think is very strange in some of the African countries. So can you explain small what volunteering is to our
Absolutely.
viewers?
Absolutely. So before that, let me make this point really really clear. Second, let me make this point really really clear. There is many a times would you see a final year a final year candidate, and I have this information because like I said, at the time I was a president for three different organizations, which meant that at the point that we had to hand over to the new batch coming in, you had people who had to apply for positions, and then you had to vet their CVs or their resumes at that point. All right, and many a times you pick a resume and then you see that it's really empty. It's just full of attended school here, did this, that's it. Like it's really really empty. But if you want to set yourself apart, you have to do things that others are not doing. And that brings me to the volunteer. So if you say volunteer, I volunteered for PPAG, which is Planned Parenthood Association of Ghana. That was just one of those organizations. With that, it was more sex education, right? And Fred, I know you, coming from where we are coming from, this is one of the very tabooic topics that you can talk of. But I was part of it, right? And my role was just, I think it's a PR or something like that, that we had to embark on donation drives, just educating people for free. No one, you don't get paid for all those things. There was another organization that I was president for, which is the Generational Thinkers International, which is run by Noah AJ Darkon, currently also in the US, Dr. Noah AJ Darkon. With this, we organize seminars for free. We organize seminars. We embark on donation drives. So most of the volunteering opportunities, it comes in different ways, right? You just have to find an association that needs work to be done for free, and then you put yourself out there and just volunteer to help out. That is one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is, if you are part of any school, it means that you are part of a department. At the end of the year, there are departmental positions that are available, and these positions are not being paid for, right? Once you avail yourself to do that, then that is another volunteer opportunity. That is the formal side. The informal sector is, for example, what Fred is doing. I mean, if I were a candidate trying to uh, get into a volunteering opportunity, I can tell Fred, oh, I'm a graphic designer. Would you mind if I design graphics for you to, help in this?
We actually need more people like that. Please
Oh, there
hammer
you go. There you
there.
go. There you go. That is actually volunteer opportunity. And you can put that in your resume. Because like Fred introduces the program, this is the biggest study abroad content program, arguably in Africa, right? So once you're able to situate um the volunteering opportunities in context, it makes you a standout candidate.
Right, awesome. I know it will take 3 days for Ben to hear us. Okay, let's wait for it to sink in. All right, he got it now. Ben, you have another
Yes,
question?
I can hear you. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I just want to, I don't know how the Legon system looks like, but in some of from where I completed, like University of Cape Coast, those days, looking at how the lecture schedules were, in fact, you never think of volunteering. So now looking at this situation whereby we have also understood that in this part where we find ourselves, they are looking at our value. So how can we then combine our lectures, busy schedules, like maybe from Monday to Friday lectures, with this volunteer? Because we want to know how to go by, because it's not just about mentioning the terms. How do we navigate ourselves through to add the value to make our applications look more quality as we are expecting?
Very good question, actually, Ben. Very, very good question. This is what I think, and maybe I'm just biased in a certain aspect, and I admit that. I'm someone who likes to get things done, so I may be biased in this, but please, listeners, hear me out. I honestly don't believe that the university would keep you occupied for 20. In fact, let's limit it from 9 to 5. throughout Monday to Friday. Honestly, I don't believe that. There's no university in the world that does that. It doesn't happen, right? And I stand to be corrected that some professional courses would, for example, in Legon, I saw some medical students who would go to Kolebu and all that. But even that, it wasn't from Monday to Friday. There are actually days that you have to go from Monday from 9 a.m. to the latter part of the day, right? That I just want to put out. Um, the other thing is students overestimate how much they need to give in terms of their time, in terms of their resources, in terms of their experiences. We overestimate what we need to give. But that is not the point. The point is, even if you can dedicate an hour to, like I mentioned, thread effect designing, we have Canva. There are templates on Canva. If you are designing it, it shouldn't take you like an hour. Even if it takes you an hour, it is still that experience that you are willing to get just so that it can put you ahead of others. That is the point. And now you mentioned that you may not get a time and all that. There is this book I'm currently reading, which is called Grit. And in that, there is a research that is cited that most of the students, so it talks about how people can be gritty and all that. Most of the students who are engaged in other extracurricular activities actually do well better than students who are not engaged in extracurricular activities. And you can confirm it for a fact, right? Where I went to school, myself and the school prefect, in fact, almost all those who performed really, really well were those who had leadership positions.
Ben was an SRC president in high school. Ask him.
There,
He did very well in school.
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So you can't escape. You can't escape and say that because you are so much engrossed in books, you don't have time to actually do extracurricular activity, which is not true. So, like again, like I said, I may be biased towards this, but that is just how I feel that students overestimate how much they can give. But you need to actually just give and see what happens.
Right. Let's go and read some comments, right? Some interesting ones. Shout outs to Wisdom. Wisdom say, I did you came. No, Wisdom, I'm not doing that. Anyway, but my brother, I really agree with you. I don't know, for some reason, people who engage in co-curricular activities, like being in back home high school, I was SLC president, doing debate, doing quizzes, but yet I'll come to class and still perform.
Yeah.
But people have been sitting in class. They are not engaged in anything. And the same thing to Ben. Ben was SRC president. But and even in the first place, you have to be performing better even before they give that
Before
position.
you get, yes.
Yeah. So
And it consumes so much of your time. But
exactly.
still, at the end of the day, you still perform way better than those who are not even
Yeah.
engaged in anything.
Yeah. So always people ask me, how am I able to combine these platforms I build on and combining my studies? Time management, because once you lock in that you have to do this, you know that the other things you need to do as well. You understand?
Wow.
Anyway, so we go back to the schools you apply to. Normally, what we want people to know is that from Tamale, Abdul had some schools that he applied to. So that for some reason, I don't know, when you Google schools back home, the answers you get or the feedback you get are a bit different when you're in the States.
Oh, really?
Yeah, social media. I don't know. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Actually, they
When
check.
you Google certain things, your location determines what answers you get.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So normally we want to mention some of these universities. It could be the first time somebody's hearing about it, right? So when I mentioned Baylor University, somebody might have not heard it before. So we mentioned some of these universities so that people can write them down, go and research and all that. So you mentioned the name of the current university you are, which is, if you can repeat that.
North Carolina State University. We call it NCSU, North
Uh,
Carolina State University. Yeah.
okay. And for people joining us right now, what are you studying?
I'm studying Master of Business Administration. So that's an MBA.
Okay. So North Carolina State University.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there is University of North Carolina too, right?
UNC. Yeah. We actually have two. I actually have two University of North Carolinas.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So there are two UNCs. One is in Charlotte. The other one I'm not sure exactly where it is. Oh, that's my school. Yeah.
Okay. So when I was in Ohio, right? Ohio University, there was also Ohio State University. I
Yep.
noticed that if you are emailing as one of the schools and you mistakenly use the name of the other school, the professors will be mad.
Of course,
Is
of
that the
course.
same thing at your place?
I think
There's a little bit of competition.
no, I totally agree with you. But again, from my end, there one of the UNCs, which is the one with the blue,
Mm,
and our school has this kind of rivalry, right? And
okay.
so yeah, it's more like a friendly rivalry kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
And some actually attended UNC before coming to lecture at University, North Carolina State University, right? And so it's more like a fun thing. So even if they would get angry, it will probably be covered in that kind of jovial
Yeah,
cousin
yeah,
relationship kind of thing. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But obviously, no school wants to be no school wants to be mistaken for another school. Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
so to be clear, the name of your university is North Carolina State
State
University.
University,
And
correct?
if you're listening to us, the other ones we're talking about, let me share that real quick. And this is where my brother Kingsford Onyina is. University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. That's another one. But there
Yeah,
is other campuses too.
yeah.
So there's a difference between the University of North Carolina and then North Carolina State University.
That's it.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So if you're watching us, be writing them down when we are done. And I'm showing you the website so that it gives you an idea when you Google it and you're on the wrong website, you get to know. So my brother is studying MBA. MBA is like the go-to program for thousands of people, right?
Right.
And you know, a lot of people think that when they don't have a background in business, they cannot come and study that. You have a background in linguistics, you've been able to do that. I want to know, how did you convince them in your statement of purpose? I have linguistics. Please let me come and study MBA. Versus somebody already having a business administration background. Why would they pick a linguistics guy over somebody with a business background? Give us the idea. Like, what did you do different?
Wow, this is an interesting question.
Mm,
So what I did differently. So first off, let me premise that to say that we have three, let me just say three broad categories of students in the MBA program. All right, we have one, those who are furthering their business journeys, or they want to learn more about what they are doing. That is one. Two, we have career switchers. Career switchers are those who are probably in product management and they are probably switching to product marketing. Those are the second. The third category are we, people like me who want to shift completely from what they have been doing all their lives to the new thing that they want to do. And you can equally push them from the third group to the second group in that they're also career switchers. The MBA understands this, and then I'm not sure if they have a bucket for these different groups, but I'm sure that they would, provided that they believe in what you're telling them. And that brings me to how I was able to convince them to allow me study and leave a business person. So, like I mentioned, professionally, I've been working for the past 5 years. First as a marketing officer. So you see a trajectory. First as a marketing officer, then I moved to a tech company where I worked 2 years as a digital marketing official, and then a product manager. So I got promoted. At the same time, I had a contract with Automobile Ghana. Automobile Ghana is an automobile company that works in Ghana. So I had a contract with them for 2 years, working as a marketing executive, principal advisor. And so that also adds. You'd see that I have 5 years of experience from that alone, and all that is in marketing. Now the other one is when I got promoted to product manager, and then I went back to BBC Industrials to work as a marketing executive. All right. So the trajectory is that there is a connect from right after service to the point where I was applying for the MBA. In that I've been working in marketing throughout, but along the line I got product management, and so that was more like a career switcher. And so my convincing argument was that um, for the last 5 years, this is what I've been working on. This is where I want to get to. But in order to get that, I need your school to be able to help me propel me to get to that um, path that I want to go, right? And I don't know if you need the details of the SOP and all that, but it's really just outlining the long-term vision that you have for yourself, which for me was to grow to become one of the biggest um, Ghanaian moguls in the business, in the marketing industry. But in order to get there, I needed to, first of all, build a repertoire of experiences and knowledge in the US ecosystem, such that I can translate that to my long-term goal. So once you see that there is a connect between what you've been doing for over the years and what your short-term goals are, what your long-term goals are, who doesn't want a billionaire in as part of their alumni? I mean, you give them money in the end. So yeah, that's how I was able to convince them.
That was very brilliant. If you are listening to us, whatever background you have and you want to switch, it's possible. Just make sure that you have a connection between what you're currently passionate about and what the program expects. Obviously, you can talk to the director of the program if they would admit you based on your transcript and all that.
Fred, let me put this out there, right? There is absolutely no connect between what you tell. Let me be careful about this, right? But there's absolutely no connect between what you tell the admissions committee in your essays and your application against what you get here and what you do, right? People understand that you can have an interest in something, but then when you are exposed to a lot of things, your mind can change. So when I was in Ghana, my passion and all that was to do marketing, right? But I got into the US and realized that, oh, there are even better opportunities for me than marketing would present me with. So what are those opportunities? And the school would, from the get-go, let you understand that you have 1 year to decide what to do after you get into the program. So you don't necessarily need to say that, oh, because um, I'm in marketing, it means that they are tying me to marketing. I have to, no. Once you get here, they expose you to vast curricula that you can select from. And then from there, you can choose that, oh, I want to major in this and all that. Also, they do that in the second year so that once after the first year, you have an experience with internship. And the internship would even give you a clearer picture of what the US ecosystem is like. And then you can decide to continue with your major or you can switch to do whatever you want.
Yeah, I want to know if Ben want to come in, but if not, I wanted to know, did your scholarship automatically come with your admission, or you had to, attend a separate interview? How did your scholarship go?
So it actually came automatically, but you had to write an extra essay for that. So
Okay.
as part of the application process, you wrote 3 different essays, but there was one specific essay for graduate assistantship where you click, do you want to be considered for graduate assistant positions? And then you click, then they request for an essay, and then you just fill in the essay, and then it comes automatically with everything.
I love your confidence, how you speak, and how you explain things. You have that leadership qualities. You know what? And charisma. You know what? I don't know how to explain charisma in the local language, but you have that charisma, and you have the ability to speak for people to listen to you, like the confidence with which you're speaking. But
Thank
you want
you.
to come. You want to come in before we move on to the rest of the school. So if you're watching us, pick your pen, pick your paper. He's going to mention he has already mentioned the school he studied at, which I've already shared, and then the other universities as well. So we're going to talk about the other ones, and then you have to take your pen and paper to write them down. But you want to come in. When I talk,
Yes, Fred,
I want
if you can kindly.
go on. We are waiting for you for 3 days.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely. You can. I think it's better
Yes,
now. Yeah.
I'm saying that if you can kindly check, maybe there are some questions in the comment box.
Yeah, sure. We'll be responding to them. We go to the comment. Somebody's asking. Okay, following from Kenya, Jackson, thank you for watching us from Kenya. The Fred Effect, Westpac, thank you very much. Belly Beidu, well, great. Mr. Abdul, yeah, Mr. Abdul is a great man. Kwabena Icon, everything speed. He said, is it true that F1 student can't work off campus? So this is what happens. If you're a student and then school is in session, you have an opportunity to work 20 up to 20 hours on campus. Mostly people have assistantship, that's what they do. It's difficult to combine other works with your classes and all that. You can't do it. So when school is on a break, like now school is on a break, some people have internships, so you can work off campus with an approval from your designated school official or maybe your international office. We call that CPT, which is curricular practical training. I had the opportunity to work at the governor's office of Arizona because I did an MPA and it was a great experience for me. So I worked in Arizona. So yes, you can work off campus, and also when you're done with your program on what we call OPT, which is optional practical training, you can work off campus for a year if your program is a non-STEM, and up to 3 years if your program is a STEM program. So I hope that helps everything speed. Kunadu, thank you for tuning in on Facebook. How you doing, brother? And let us know where you're watching us from. And when Abdul is mentioning the name of the schools, I will appreciate it if somebody will be typing them in the comments for us. And remember, as you do that, you automatically join the draw, which we have at the end of the session. God bless you for all you do. Wisdom, God bless you too. A lot of insight. Yes, a lot of insights today. We need Abdul's LinkedIn name. Do you want to put it out there?
Yeah, sure. I can share with you. Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
All right. So Sadiq is saying, Sadiq Nuruddin watching us on YouTube is saying that Mr. Raheem, you have a brother from Tamale. Mr. Fred Nuruddin Sadiq. Oh, okay. Nuruddin, how you doing? So Abdul, I don't know how long you stayed in Tamale, but I was very surprised the first time I went to Tamale. It's a very underrated city. Tamale is beautiful. The women are beautiful. The meat is cheap. You can get a lot of cow meat. I was surprised. So I was just walking on the street, and of course, a lot of motorbikes. Tamale is beautiful.
Yeah, Tamale is that, and up until the point I left Tamale, it's even more beautiful. I don't think you've been to Tamale anytime.
No, for more than 5 years. When I was doing my national service at Bole Bamboy, they had not changed the regions yet, right? So you were supposed to present something at the regional office of NAC. So that took me to Tamale. So even though I was in, from Bole Bamboy side to Tamale is very far.
Yeah, that's like 2 hours. 2 hours.
Very, very far. Yeah. So I had to go to Tamale, and then I love the place.
Wow. Now we have an overpass. So
oh really? When I went there, they were actually constructing it.
Oh, now it's done.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And imagine, I didn't know anybody there. The guy that I took from the lorry station, he rides that Okada.
Mm-hmm.
That is the person I slept with. Like I slept in his house. And he was so nice to me. He got me food. Tamale is a nice place.
Yeah,
I love Tamale.
Key marks. Yeah.
Okay, let's see if we can still respond to some questions. All right, let's go to the universities. We've mentioned the name of the university you are at the moment. We shared the other school as well.
Okay.
Which one have you been to the other campus before?
No, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
No.
I was going to ask you, which one do you think? I was in Ohio University, but I think Ohio State, because it's in the capital, is a bigger university compared to ours. But my school was the first to be established, but there's still this rivalry,
Oh, you also have that.
Yeah, there's Ohio University, there's Ohio State.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Ohio State people want to bully us some way, but don't go listen. All right, so let's talk about the other universities you applied to, my brother.
All right, so I have quite a unique journey, right?
Yeah.
Because, so I actually focused on one school.
Oh wow.
So let me break it down so that it's a bit clear. I had an Excel sheet where I wrote down all the schools that run MBA programs. Wrote down admission directors, their names, wrote down their emails, and application fees, whether they give funding or not, and all that. I had a comprehensive Excel sheet.
Right.
And so the Excel sheet was able to guide my thinking. At the time they open applications, at the time they close applications and all that. And again, for MBA, there are different cycles of admissions, right? So for my school, particularly, they had they call it early, I'm not sure I remember the name, but they call it early MBA, right? So they call it 1 day to MBA.
Okay.
And the 1 day to MBA is such that once you apply and you have your interview today, you get your decision tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so it's called 1 day to MBA. One, it is free. Two, you get your admissions way earlier, and probably your funding
No,
way earlier than any other person would.
you did not pay an application fee.
No, I didn't.
Okay. Shout outs to the people who think that you have to pay application fee to get a full scholarship.
Look,
No, I've been an advocate for this thing that my brother back home, some people do not even have a MasterCard. They don't have a Visa card. When I was in Bolibamboy, if I get a MasterCard from a bank, there's a monthly charge. My national service is 559. Before I realized my account to be negative. You get it? So I don't have it. And so I feel like for some people, there are instances where you hear that some people pass the WASI, but because their family did not have money to pay for the initial application fee, even though by the time the admissions had come, they might have gotten the money to go to school, right? But
right.
when the applications were being, put in, they couldn't purchase the application fee. So my point is that for some people, they are standing on the hill. They need something to just push them. They will do the rest themselves. So for some people, there's an argument that if application fee is a problem for you, how you end up paying a flight ticket? That argument do not make sense because it's a step-by-step journey. If the application fee was a challenge sometime, it doesn't mean that it's going to be a challenge throughout.
Wow,
you get it. So for some people, they need some of these schools that are waiving application fees so that they can even push them to start in the first place.
Wow.
You see, I have a lot of friends. There's a friend of mine in University of Alabama. She didn't pay anything. She has a full scholarship to study PhD. Her feeding, accommodation is taken care of.
Wow.
What argument is that? So some people are like, oh, pay some up. There are people who have put $100, whatever dollars in application fee. Nothing. They didn't get anything.
Yeah, that is true. And that actually brings the question you asked about when you hear someone saying, how much did the entire application cost you? It sounds really, not to be disrespectful, it sounds really upset, right? Because you can't, if you're starting out and you're asking how much, it's like asking Jeff Bezos that up to this point, how much did it cost you to establish Amazon? Like, how much is there's at every stage there are figures. Some you would be opportune to be helped. Others you probably would have to put in the work yourself. So it's really about just starting. Like, I mean, if I hadn't started, I never would have reached out to you. You never would have known how to help me. And I'll
Exactly.
I'll say this on air that people have no idea how.
So I like it when I speak to people like you who have such an experience. So the school, you didn't pay anything. Is it that you wrote money? You wrote like an email to ask for a waiver, or the school was automatically waiving?
Okay, so for the 1 day to MBA, right? It's automatically waived, provided it is way earlier than any other application cycle you can ever think of. Way earlier. So it means that for you to be able to benefit from that, you must submit your applications really, really early. One, but not only must you submit it early, it must also be very, very competitive, so that you can benefit from not just getting the waiver, but also getting admission and getting funding as well. Right? Which brings me to the second point. You have to be engrossed in this journey. Like, you have to be engrossed, really engrossed in this journey, right? Because not only did I get waiver for my school, I got waivers for oh my goodness, over 10 or 15 schools. And I know others. Yes, and I know others who also got the same. It's about the amount of work you put in. So like I was saying, the comprehensive document had emails of all admission directors. And I wrote to every single admission director that I had on the Excel sheet. I asked them two questions. One, take a look at my resume. Sometimes it can be illegal. But I still went ahead. Take a look at my resume. And do you have funding opportunities for this? Once you're able to introduce yourself properly, which I really did, sometimes they take time to look at your resume and tell that, oh, you're a good candidate. And funding may come in this form. So the advantage is you're already introduced to that person. So that was the first thing I did. Second thing is I attended a lot of info sessions, a lot of them. I even attended some in-persons in Ghana when directors come to Ghana, and sometimes I see you post about some of those things. I actually presented myself, spoke to admission directors. In fact, the very day I wrote my GRE, there was a session of those, and I went right from the GRE center to, I think it was Kempinski or something, and I met admission directors, spoke to them, told them that, oh, I just finished my GRE, and they actually, so we had a conversation about all this, right? And so I had this comprehensive document. However, because my school was really early.
I'll let you continue. If you're listening to us, you don't know what an info session. What we are saying is that sometimes University of Cape Coast. I'm just making an example so that you practically understand. University of Cape Coast. You are done with high school. You want to apply. They will organize an online session so that the professors will be there, the admission counselors will be there. Come and ask them questions. They will tell you the programs that the university offers, the scholarships, how to apply, and everything, so that you have opportunity to ask them questions. Now, listen. For the universities in the US, for them to incentivize you to attend such an online session, they will tell you that if you register and attend, we will give you a free application fee waiver. I am in Bole Bamboy. My national service is 559. That is what I'm going to use to pay one application fee. But they are saying that if I attend a webinar for 1 hour, I will get that 1 month alawa waived. Do you get the point? That's what people are not getting. So it only makes sense that you choose that path rather than going to use the money to pay.
And sometimes it's way expensive than your monthly salary that you mentioned.
I tell you,
yeah,
I wasn't able to apply to a lot. I applied to only one school, and I advise everybody it's very risky. Don't do that. I applied to only one school because I didn't know that I could get an application fee waiver for the others that I couldn't afford.
Oh,
because 559 from Tenga to Bole Bamboy, sometimes you go there and they tell you that the network is bad. E-switch, that's what we're using, and they don't pay early. I go and take this 559. I send it on mobile money to somebody who has a MasterCard, so that I can use it to pay my application because I don't have the MasterCard.
Right.
So I have to do that like 3 or 4 times. But and I didn't know that I have to simply ask or attend a webinar to get a waiver. And that's what we are telling people. So when some people make argument that, pay, anyway, we hear.
No.
Shout out to my brother Inzube Ohalite. He's watching us. Shout out to you, my brother. Inzube has a great YouTube channel. Search for Inzube on YouTube. He's doing amazing. Shout out to you, my brother. But let's continue.
Right. So I had the very comprehensive document, Excel document, and so I had everything. But because you see, this journey is about intentionality, right? You have to be really intentional about what you want, where you want to go, how you want to approach a journey. And so when I decided that I wanted to apply for the 1 day to MBA, I knew that I had to give it one, like, boom, just hit it once and then be done. Because it was, once you get admitted, once you have your interview, the next day is your decision, right? Which meant that I still had so much time to look at the other schools I had shortlisted to apply to. And so I gave it a go, had my interview, got my decision the next day. In fact, the interview was scheduled to be held 4 days prior to the day I had my interview. I don't know. All of a sudden, I just saw an email that there's this part that would like you to fill if you want to interview. I'm like, you know what? So I opened the email and I saw that there was only one day. And I clicked it, had my interview. The next day, I got admitted. I think in less than a week, I got my funding. So everything was so sweet. So when I had it, I didn't feel like there was any need to continue with the other schools. However, there were other sessions that I attended. There's visa groups and MBA groups and all that. And in one of those sessions, someone mentioned that it's good to apply to this school. I understand the risk that I took. And mine wasn't much of a risk because I still had that much time to apply to other schools had I not got admitted into my school. And so it wasn't more of a risk from my end. And like you said, apply to as many other schools as you can. And so because I had that list, it wasn't much of a risk. I could just jump onto those schools. And I also had waivers for those schools, so there was not much rush into that. But then the session mentioned that you don't have to apply to one school. You don't have to say that when you get to the visa consulate, and then the visa officer is asking you how many schools did you apply to. It's not a good sign to say that you applied to one school because it doesn't show, kind of thing. But I saw it differently. But this scared me because I hadn't been to the visa consulate before. I hadn't had a visa interview before. And so I was like, you know what? Let me go back and apply to two other schools, just so that when they ask me how many schools did you apply to, then I can say I applied for two schools. And so with those schools, I was just applying because I needed two, but I didn't put in any intentionality. I just copied my essays, pasted them. I'm sure I made some of the mistakes you mentioned earlier about using a different name of the school to apply to this. So all those things. So I applied to one school in Canada. Oh, Sulich School of Business. Sulich School of Business. Um, I think it's in Toronto or something like that. I'm not sure, but it's Sulich, Schulich. I think you are muted. We can hear you, Fred.
I'm gonna share that. This is a one-man production, so I do everything on my own, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I'll share that so that people can know what you're mentioning. So this is the website of
There
Scottish
you
School
go.
of Business. Yeah,
Yeah, that's it.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ben will come in. So if you could, I want you to share with us the exact email. If you want to take some things out, that's absolutely fine. And also the other list of schools that you listed down, especially with our brothers watching us who want to also focus on MBA. So if you could get your Excel sheet, if you still have access to them, then
Um,
I'll be showing the website one after the other. Ben, do you want to come in? Okay, Ben will take 3 days and he will listen.
Yes, I think today has been very, very informative. Please, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
yeah,
Go
we
ahead,
can
my
hear
brother.
you.
Oh, okay. So I think if you can be clear with resume and CV,
Mm,
I think it will help our listeners because at times people get confused. What is resume? What is CV? And it doesn't really make the application process very smooth for them. They just get confused. So can you help us?
absolutely. So, I when I was in Ghana, there was this training I had with a friend, Enoch Kabange. Kabange, very very sharp guy, very big brain. There was a training we had on CB writing, and then I wasn't very versed in the world of CV and all that. But I just knew that there was a comprehensive format that you needed to follow. And so for CVs, there are more extended versions of resumes. So resumes are very one pager, at most two pages. I'm yet to see a resume with a two pager. I haven't, right? I'm yet to.
Please be
But
careful with the terms. Be careful with the terms, please. If
okay,
resume, if CV,
okay,
CV. Yes.
okay. So resume is a one-page document that summarizes what a CV would have. CV is a curriculum vitae, which is an extended version, probably 3 pages or 4 or 5, depending on your level of experience and what exactly you are being using the CV for. Right. So CV is more extended, resume is more summarized into. I'm yet to see a resume that has 2 pages. It's always been one. And people with even 10 years of experience or even 20 years of experience all have resumes 1 pages. Right. So resume is more summarized, CV is extended. And depending on what you
So
exactly what you want to use it
so
for.
what should go so what should go into my resume? Supposing I'm applying for MBA and the department is asking for resume instead of CV, what should go into my resume to make it to make my so that I can put in quality application we've been talking about?
Right. Beautiful. So for resume, I think it's because it's very straight to the point and gives whoever is looking at it an idea of what exactly your life has been about or what exactly your life will be about. It's easier to just go straight to the point. And so, of course, every CV and resume, you have your name top there, and then your address, that's your email, your phone numbers, and all that. But beyond that, it summarizes your educational journey in just about 4 or 5 lines, right? Where you had your school, depending on your level. So if it's undergrad or postgrad or whichever level you are, your your schools, the credentials from those schools, whether you graduated with the first class, cum laude, whatever, your GPAs and all that, very summarized, straight to the point. If you held any leadership positions, then you would put those ones during the time you were there. Just straight to the point, very summarized, very brief. The majority of it now comes in your experience. And experience can be in the work you've done, predominantly the work you've done, right? Which takes probably another two-thirds of the page, which is your experiences and your accomplishments and all that. And then the final, in some cases, if you are using it for academia, it would be your papers and all that. And the latter part of it would be your extracurricular activities. Very short, straight to the point, and very precise, concise. So that would be the format of a resume. That CV extended, you can put all everything that you want to put in there. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. So looking at the CV you used for your application and telling us about your background and your job experiences, did you capture everything or you look at where experiences that are only relevant to your application?
That's a really good question, right? Because if you get to the point where you are applying for the MBA, it is presumed that you are one, you know of yourself that you are one of the very high achievers. That is one. Two, it means that you know how to lead, which means that as part of leadership qualities, you can prioritize, you can delegate, and all that. So, as part of your resume, you need to have an understanding that, in fact, whatever I'm sending out to the admissions committee or whoever is going to review my resume needs to understand why I'm putting this there. And like that drives me back to intentionality. If you are putting say your experience, 5 years experience from say Ghana Revenue Authority, and then you listing achievements, why are you putting it there? What message does it send to the admission committee? Always ask that question. Why? I'm putting an experience that why. So you have to look at the why you are putting there, and for the purpose for which you want the admission director to understand, and then consider that why, and then give you a chance to be there. So again, intentionality, be intentional that once I have this here, it sends this kind of message to the admission committee. Let me give you an example. So if I'm applying for example, my MBA, there was one thing I put about my my marketing contract with Otomo Ghana, and then I explained that I helped them drive a marketing campaign, which drove. It's been a long time. I refreshed my resume, but I'm trying to remember. So I had a marketing campaign which drove independent customers. And independent customers here is contextual. It refers to individual clients instead of the bulk companies that would come to the company for their servicing and all that. So I drove individual clients at a rate of like 50% for the company, right? So why am I putting in message? I'm putting in message to let them know that I understand the tactics in marketing and digital marketing, and that I'm able to use it to drive sales. And that leads me to my long-term goal I said about establishing a marketing firm, a huge marketing firm. And so I needed that experience. So once they see that and they see the match, the future, the long-term goals, they're able to make that connection to say that, oh, okay, there's someone who knows his or her stuff, right? So you have to really be intentional about what you put in on your resume and not just dump everything there. In fact, even if you're dumping everything there, you wouldn't even get enough space to put other things there. So just be intentional.
All right. So yeah, just be intentional. It's been a great session. We are speaking with Abdul. Abdul is currently studying at North Carolina State University, which is in North Carolina. Remember, there's South Carolina, there's North Carolina. These are two different states in the US, and he's sharing his experience with us. From a linguistics background, he was able to pursue, push through, and then get admission and a scholarship to study MBA. MBA is a program a lot of people want to get in. Getting the scholarship has been challenging. This is an eye-opening session that will guide your path. So, Abdul, off the top, I don't know if you could remember some of the schools you listed in your Excel sheet, so we can talking to people about it.
Okay. I think they're pretty much popular schools. So off the head, I know of some schools. One, and I was very focused on some of the state schools, right? So Ohio State University was OSU
Okay,
was
let
one.
me let me write them one after the other. Ohio State University, because I schooled in Ohio, I know this campus very well. Shout out to my brother Bismarck. Bismarck also did an MBA at Ohio State University. Bismarck is currently, is it California or something like that? Yeah, shout out to you, Bismarck, if you're watching. Yeah, so he also studied MBA on a full scholarship at Ohio State University. So this is the website of Ohio State University. It's located in Columbus. Columbus is the capital of Ohio. Yeah. Let's move on, Abdul.
Yeah, I could actually share the Excel sheet with you, but it's on my laptop, so I didn't know how I would be able to,
Oh, you
share
can
that.
quickly grab it. I think you can
Oh,
quickly grab it.
okay.
Yeah, you
I
can quickly grab it. Yeah.
okay.
I thought the laptop was even far from you. You could just stretch and
No,
get it.
it's just right, right.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Ohio State University is a
Michigan
beautiful
State, of course, Michigan State
okay.
University.
Let me share that. Michigan State University.
Hmm.
University.
Okay,
Let's see
Fred,
if I
is it possible he can get us pictures so we share on our platform
pictures of
the schools that he has listed in his on his
yeah,
sheet?
sure. We can equally do that. Normally what happens is that some people Google the wrong thing and it takes them to the wrong website. So when they compare their website to what we are showing here, it makes it easier for them as well. So
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
Michigan State, and then so this is the website of Michigan State. Michigan State University is located um in a city called East Lansing. I have a couple of friends there. Yeah, East Lansing is a great place. What again, bro?
Um, Georgia State. So in
Okay.
fact, so so what I actually did was to look at all the states, the
Mm,
52 states, and interestingly, it's easier to search for schools than people actually think, right?
yeah.
Because for every school in the state, for every state, there are there will definitely be a state school,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so
That's true.
for the state schools, I searched all of those,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Okay.
But beyond that, I also looked at specific keyword. Let me just grab this so that I can. Um,
Yeah. So what are you saying is that if you go just in any state at all, so if Ohio State University, maybe Oklahoma State University, maybe University of Alabama, there's always that,
there's always that state school.
yeah,
Yes,
there's always
yes,
that state school. All
yes.
right. So I also wanted to know, as you search for that,
Oh, there
maybe
you go.
okay,
Let me
you
just share
got it.
it. Yeah, I got it.
Mhm. So I wanted to know the conversation, the initial email you sent, like what actually goes into that email. You mentioned that the questions you were asking them and sharing your CV with them. Is it only your resume that you share, or you share your transcript and other documents as well in the initial email?
So to be very would I say seconds, that you stand at higher risk. Yeah, so I've shared it with you. No, I
Okay.
think
Yeah, I'll quickly check that out.
so. To It's not advisable for some of the documents that you share with them, right?
Yeah.
For example, your transcripts and all that, however, some of them are able to advise. See, people don't have time. People, they want to see that you've done the work. That we've done the work, and then what you need is probably a push and all that, right?
Mm.
Your resume gives them a complete idea of your transcripts, your GPA, what you've done over the years, and whether you are a good fit for the school or not, right? Because for especially for the MBA, they are looking for fits. They want to
Mhm.
see that you can be a fit for the program and also for the entire school, right?
Yeah.
And so I was very circumspect in the type of email I was writing to them, and I could grab it again, but just out of my head. One, it was to introduce. So dear, blah 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 blah, comma. My name is Raheem, and I'm applying for the MBA program for this school for fall 2024. I was applying for fall 2024. Fall 2024. Full stop. I wanted to introduce myself and also ask a few questions, if you would permit me, throughout this for this email. And I'm like, one, um, does the school have full funding opportunities? I didn't stop there. because that would look really stupid if you just ask them if you can find something on their website. So I told them that I was able to research on their website. This is the information that I had based on the funding opportunities, and I'll list if they have any. But also ask them that do they give graduate assistantships to students upon admission, or I would have to apply for that separately, right? Because some of these information are not there. So you need to let them know that you've done your research, but also there are some gaps that are missing in terms of the answers you're looking for. So that's the one. Two, could you kindly take a second to just preview my resume to see if I would be a good fit for the school? Thank you so much, and I look forward to hearing from you. Full stop and straight to the point. Now, once you have it like that, they see the work you've done, what you're looking for. It's easier to help you.
Yeah.
But if you just tell them that, oh, I'm looking for funding opportunities, I want to ask.
Normally they'll copy the link on the website and send it to you.
And share it to you. Exactly. Exactly. But if they know that you've done the research, they know that, oh, this guy has checked on the website. So let me give the information that I have available. That is true.
All right. If you're tuning in, we had a little bit of a setback today, but this is one of the best conversations we've had on the channel so far. We're speaking to Abdul Raheem, a man with charisma, very intelligent guy, and he's sharing a lot of experiences with us today. So Ben, you have some questions to come in. If not, we will pick some people who want to talk to Abdul, and then we'll bring it to a close. We've kept you here for more than 1 hour 30 minutes, so we need to let him go.
Yeah, I think we can let those who want to talk to Abdul come in.
Okay. Cold emails are very necessary. Frederick is watching us on YouTube. He's saying that cold emails are very necessary. It builds strong connection with a potential supervisor. That is awesome. Today is a different experience, very inspirational and educative. That is wisdom. Thank you for always tuning in. Wisdom J. And then Susu Robert is asking, okay, that's your school here. Kindly ask why he chose the state schools. Okay, that's a good question. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. So I actually chose the state schools because so I come from a very humble background, right? In as much as I'm a go-getter, I'm also very, in as much as I'm an optimist, I'm also a pessimist. I know what I can do and what I cannot do, right? And so I had every credential to apply for the Ivy Leagues. Why didn't I apply for the Ivy Leagues? I didn't apply for the Ivy Leagues because one, this may sound really stupid, but one, the amount of deposit, how much you have to deposit once you secure admission is way high than any other school, right? You can pay as much as $2,000 as deposit, which for me, I knew very well that I couldn't afford it, even if I had those admission. That is one. Two, I felt like the logical step for me was to be in a very small school, small in quotes, because some of the state schools are not really small, not at all. So being a small school in terms of the cohort. So my cohort is made of 50 people, very, very, very close knit. So I'm able to know, I know everyone by name and by face, right? So these were the things that I was looking for. I was also looking for a state that was relatively less expensive, such that I could live for the foreseeable 2 years, and then wherever I wanted to go, I could move from there. And as I speak to you right now, I'm in Washington State, right? Which is different, very, very different from where I used to be. Of course, I'll still go there. So I applied to those state schools because one, I had a propensity for getting accepted into that school because I was deemed a very high candidate at the time compared to other schools. So go where you are needed, right? If you go where you are needed,
I like that.
where you are needed, you'll get it.
I like that.
So yeah, so that it was more of strategy for me than anything else.
Yeah, I like that. Go where you're needed. Very, very important. Some schools, the way they communicate with you from the beginning and stuff like that, consider that and go there.
Professor, let me.
Go ahead, Ben. Please go ahead. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah. So I'm just picking one question from Facebook. Kafaru Fuseni is asking, Baba, did your script have a validated transcript?
I'm sorry, did I? Sorry, I didn't get a question.
So I think the person was asking if your university required.
Kafaru is asking,
Ben is having issues with the connection. So I think the individual was asking if you evaluated your transcript.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
Mm.
So you see, let me also admit that some of us are very privileged because of where we're coming from, right? So
Mm.
if you're coming from University of Ghana, there are some things that someone who attends UDS would do that someone from University of Ghana would never do.
Exactly.
Yeah. So some again, there are some privileges that are attached to the school that you attend.
Yeah.
So I have a colleague, a friend who applied to my school,
Mm.
but because she attended UDS.
Hmm.
In fact, she also attended. She also had a master's in a different school in Malaysia, but
Okay.
she didn't have to do those transcripts evaluation,
Mm.
right? But me from University of Ghana, sometimes it's just privilege. I didn't have to do it.
Yeah, okay, that's good. And also, there are some universities, even if you pay for the transcript evaluation, they will not accept it. So, there are universities that require the direct transcript from your the university you attended. So, transcript evaluation has a lot of advantages. If you could afford to do that, cool. There are some universities a strict requirement, whether you're from University of Ghana, first class, whatever, you still have to go through their process, which is getting the transcript evaluated. Also, some universities have internal evaluation. DePaul University is located in Illinois. They have an internal evaluation that they will do themselves. And then there are some universities in Illinois too that you have to pay an extra for them to do the evaluation for you. So every school has their, and sometimes even the admission requirements may differ from program to program. Yeah, some programs will require something that another program in the same university will not require. It's been a great session, Abdul. It's been great talking to you. Final words to our viewers. It's unfortunate we have to cut it. So because of what happened earlier. We've been on the session for. I love your story and I love how you presented things. Please, what is your last information to our viewers, and then we bring it to a close.
So
Um, okay.
I think it would be three now. It out of my head, there are two major things that I can think of, and just so that I don't forget. The first one is about your grit, your effort. Second one would be about the information that you have out there. And please keep me on track, just so that I don't forget it. I'm just thinking it straight.
Yeah, that's fine.
So the first one would be about your grit. The second one is about the information you have out there. So let me start explaining. Once I get more out, I'll just. So the first one, your grit. People, again, that brings me to the initial conversation we had about volunteering. It is just overestimation. They overestimate the amount of work this takes. It
Mm,
takes a lot of work. Honestly, I wouldn't dispute that. It takes a lot of
yeah.
work. But people overestimate how much it would cost, how much work they need to do.
Yeah.
And sometimes, in the same light, they underestimate how much work they need to do,
Hmm.
right? Because there is so much work you have to do. So it's about intentionality. Um, First thing, don't expect someone to give you all the information. Don't expect someone to have all the time you want them to have for you. It's
Hmm.
not going to work. Do the work, work. And then once you get to the point that people realize that, oh, this guy has almost done the work, let me just come in to help, they would be glad to help. And this is an anecdote I'm sharing. I mentioned to you that Eric gave me that information. He gave me just information. So he planted a seed, which was that information. I took that information, I worked really hard, wrote my GRA. I mean, again, this probably is a conversation for another day. I didn't apply with my GRA, but that's a conversation for another day. But I wrote the GRA. So he gave me that information. That was planting a seed. And then I took that information and then I groomed that information. That is through my research, and at the point where I was doing the research, writing the emails, he had no idea what he had done. But I took it from there and I worked so much that when it got to the point where I had to pay for my service, that would be the service where someone in the US has to pay, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So service, I raised part of the money and then he balanced part of the money because he saw that the work had already been done. Like, I just get this guy the information. Now he has admission, he has funding. He's almost preparing for his interview. He's brought the MRV and all that. And then it came out. And then now all that was done, I got my visa approved. I needed a plane ticket. And then where do I get a plane ticket? Family members were ready to help and all that. But I just didn't want to put that burden on some people. And again, this would sound really, really, really awkward because I placed that burden on Fred, right? And so Fred came in to help with the plane ticket and all that,
Right.
which I hear he's been doing for years, which I appreciate him for. So again, just do the work. Once you get the work done and people see that you've done the work, they'll be willing and ready to help you do the rest of the work. That is one. The second one I said was information. I've already explained it. Information is out there. Information is out there. You just need to grab it and don't cling on to what people say. One, I think Fred has always been saying this, but let me re-echo this: that the visa process is difficult. I don't want to apply to US school because no, the visa process has been difficult since inception. But people go, people get accepted, people
Yeah.
get rejected. It's life. Just go, wish for the best. People get rejected 5 times, 7 times, and they still go and they get approved the next time.
Mhm.
So that is one. Two, don't say that it is more difficult to study in the US. So I'm planning of applying for you. I'm not telling you to change the destination that you want to go, but I'm just saying that look at where there is more opportunities for you in terms of funding, in terms of after school opportunities and all that, and situate yourself right where you are needed and where you want to go. So that would be my yeah.
Abdul, I'm super proud of you. I'm happy to have you on the channel, and also happy to be at least contribute a little bit towards your bigger success. And I really appreciate that opportunity as well. It's been great having you on the show. I think we should have you sometime back. You have a lot of ideas that our people back home can benefit from.
No, absolutely, absolutely.
All right.
Let me just share my LinkedIn so that you can put
Okay,
it.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that. Ben, what are your final words, and then we bring it to a close.
Yes, I'll just
Ben,
thank
please go on. What are your final
Abdul
words?
for his precious time. Yes, I would thank Abdul for his precious time. In fact, he has really educated us this evening. And I want to use this platform to let our viewers know that, all those that you have been hosting on this podcast, if they have been following the story clearly, they understand that they own their own application. And
Yeah.
on that course, there wasn't any way a fraudster or someone came in to scam any one of them. So please, we have the platform for you. Come in, fish for all the information that you need, and you'll be able to own your application rather than allowing yourself for somebody to scam you. In fact, when we hear those stories, it doesn't make us feel happy because we don't understand why, upon all the valuable information we are giving it out for almost 5 years now, that a lot are benefiting, yes, still you allow yourself to be scammed. So please, from this month, we are launching agenda no scam. So make sure that you follow all the Fred Effect Facebook, all Fred Effect 5 channels. We are on TikTok, we are on X, we are on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Every day we give an update. Try and then interact. Let's interact so that you really understand what is going on. Put yourself, because we consider all of you as family members, so
Yeah.
that together we build this mission. Thank you so much for your time, Fred. Thank you also for co-hosting me. I really appreciate.
Great. So this is the
Oh.
LinkedIn post, LinkedIn platform, or the account of Abdul. If you want to connect with him, so go to LinkedIn and then search for Abdul Rahim Baba Abdul Mumin, and then you'll be able to connect with Abdul. Abdul, you have something to say?
No, it was just one thing that as Benjamin was speaking, one thing that just popped into my head. I
Right.
think what really motivated me, right, was pictures I saw of people living in the United States. If you honestly, it's a huge motivator. Anytime I got depressed about a journey and all that, and I saw on Instagram someone in the US, I'm like, no, I need to get back to this. So follow the schools, whatever school you've researched on, click on their socials, on Instagram, whatever, and just go there. just look at pictures occasionally. No one would ask you to be motivated. You would get motivated yourself. So that's just what I wanted to say.
All right. Thank you so much for your time and really appreciate it. All right. If you just remember, okay, let's see. If you're just joining us, remember that we host this and every Saturday. So next week we'll be having another guest on. So be sure to join. Tell a brother to tell a brother that if you want to study abroad, there is this platform I have identified. The name is the Fred Effect. This is an individual with a story of wanting to study abroad, wanting to change the narrative, was able to successfully do it all the way from Boleman Boy, with the help of some individuals. Shout outs to Isaac Asante. I'm always grateful to him and some other people who supported us on the way. And now we've been able to get it done on getting 2 masters and moving on. It's an opportunity for me to identify certain information that if I was home. So normally when I'm shooting my content, I look at my past self in a mirror, that when I was in Bali Bamboy, what information did I need to make this process successful? What do I wish somebody had told me that would have made the process easier for me? So I put myself in that context. People have different stories. There are people who have first class, they are from a rich home, they had opportunity to write a GRE, GMAT, and they were able to do it. There are some people, their parents are able to finance them to come and study abroad. But some of us are from a background which is not so good. We're in an environment that was not so encouraging. I did my national service in Bole Bamboy. Imagine, you being a teacher and then you go to school and they tell you one of your students has been bitten by a snake. They couldn't rush the person to a hospital, and then this kid that you're in an environment where if I receive an email, I have to go to a place where it's a bit hilly so that I could have network reception. If I want to withdraw my national service, I cannot do it in the town in which I am. I have to pay for transportation to another city to be able to withdraw. And sometimes you're going there and they said the e-switch network. So we are from an environment that encourages us to push through, and then we were able to do it. So when I see a school waiving an application fee, I'm putting myself in the shoes of that Bole boy who had to use national service, monthly national service, which they don't pay on time to be able to pay. I'm looking at somebody who do not have a MasterCard or Visa card or PayPal or credit card that have that privilege, or do not even know anybody abroad to be able to help them pay. So I put myself in such a situation and be able to advise you. I didn't go for my graduation at University of Cape Coast because I needed to use that money to get a passport to help somebody else, something like that. So making these sacrifices, normally, when people get in touch with me, like Abdul was talking about that, Mr. Fred, I've had my visa. I need help to purchase flight ticket. I put myself in the shoes of this individual because I was at a point at that stage where I also needed help for somebody to pay for my flight ticket. So listen, I have a different journey. I have a different experience from most people, and I put myself in such a situation, in such shoes, and be able to put out the content I put out so that it would inspire you, it will motivate you. That it might not work today, it might not work tomorrow, but it will certainly work out. You understand? This has been a life-changing opportunity for most of us, and we believe that it will change your life if you have an opportunity to experience higher education in a different country. The name has been the Fred Effect. We are over 177,000 on YouTube. This is a trustworthy, consistent platform that has been impacting a lot of lives. We are over 160,000 on TikTok. We recently hit over 120,000 on Facebook. Twitter or X, we are 45,000. This is a platform that has a track record. We've built this over years with a lot of effort, time, and educational and informative content on our platforms. This is not a platform that put out negativity. We are not here to misinform anybody. Listen, we have put in the work and it has paid off over the years. So this is a very trustworthy platform. If you know anybody who wants to study abroad, tell them whichever platform they are on, either TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, wherever. Let them get in touch with us. We have all these platforms. However, we only respond to messages on only one platform, which is Instagram. So if you want to send us a message, There is no WhatsApp number. We are not on any Telegram page. We don't respond to any messages on any other platform. But if you want to send us a message, go to Instagram, search for the Fred Effect. It's over 20,000 followers. It's a verified account. Remember, on Instagram, you can make a call, you can send a message, you can send any other information. So it's very, protected, and it makes it easier not to fall to people who are trying to impersonate our brand to scam people. The name has been the Fred Effect. We have the biggest study abroad content platform, undoubtedly, and this is the most trusted one as well. And we have a collaboration with Argo Visa. Argo Visa is a team of former visa officers. Now, they have been working with the US government with everything going on. You need a former visa officer to go through your document, to review your applications before you submit them, especially your DS-160, your DS-260, whatever you're working on, and have a one-on-one mock session with you. It makes you more confident, more prepared to be able to go for the interview. Use the link I'm sharing on the screen, and because of the Fred Effect's affiliation with this company, use the link I'm sharing on the screen to book a one-on-one session. This is a way to also help the Fred Effect brand as well. Listen, we need to improve on our lighting. We need to improve on our camera. We need to improve on the gadgets we are using. So that we are having internet connection and challenges and stuff like that. We need to improve on the software we are using. So in a way, if you also, you're not only scheduling a one-on-one meeting to benefit from the Argo Visa, services that they offer. And remember, we are only going to associate ourselves with a trusted brand. We've had a lot of offers coming in for collaborations and advertisement, but we don't accept anything. We want to put out genuine information. If you are recommending something to you, it is tried and tested, and we know you're also going to benefit from it. You can also schedule. At the moment, the Fred Effect team is the only team that handles undergraduate applications for free. So if you want help from our team, you use the link I'm sharing on the screen to schedule a one-on-one meeting with the Fred Effect team. And if you have a high school qualification, the team will handle your entire application for free. So use the link I'm sharing on the screen. It's not easy to do that. We are the only team that could handle that. So all you need to do is to schedule a one-on-one meeting. We will discuss the entire process. We'll tell you what our duties will be, what we are going to work on for you, and we explain to you how the process works before we begin that. Next week will come your way. I need you to be positive and know that everything will be fine. Remember, at the moment, if you're working on anything, forget about the negativity, forget about the rumors, stay focused. There's always going to be a challenge. If you want to wait till tomorrow, there will be another challenge after tomorrow. So you will never have a stress-free, life. Every day there will be a challenge. You have to master the courage to go through the storm. It will definitely settle down. The name has been the Fred Effect. Please be positive and know that everything will be fine. I'll see you next week.